All right, next trailer we're gonna go to is another kind of quasi live action adaptation or storytelling is Mufasa, the Lion King trailer. It is a prequel almost, kind of like an origin story for Mufasa, who, spoiler alert, died in the first Lion King, and is kind of what propelled Simba to go on to the path that he did and kind of like become a man or like pride lead in his own right and king in his own right. And like the fact that they decided to kind of go this route, although it does seem to be kind of CGI live action, is more interesting than what they did with the actual live action adaptation or Lion King 1.5 or Lion King 2. So at least it is kind of an interesting direction that they're going to take and like explore in terms of like a character that everybody knows, but nobody knows anything about ultimately. Because like when you really think about it, his screen time was very small, very impactful, but very small. So it is kind of a smart move to kind of explore a character who is so well known, despite like how little he's actually on film. Obviously, they're not going to get I believe it's James Earl Jones. Yeah. Obviously, they can't get the great James Earl Jones to voice. Well, maybe they can. He is still alive, which is wild. He's 93 years old. But I doubt that they'll get him to voice Mufasa, even though because he is much younger in this iteration. But they could. They could. We'll see. Yeah, let's watch it. Mufasa Lion King.
It's time. I'll tell you a story. A story of a cub, not much bigger than you.
All right, so is that Rafiki? That's obviously Timon and Pumbaa. Full account, full exposure. I never actually watched the live action adaptation of The Lion King because I refuse to destroy my childhood memories with any absolute garbage that is live action Disney adaptations. It's a story that I do not think needs to be retold in live action. I think it was good as it is once again. But full exposure, full disclosure. I never actually watched that.
Not much bigger than you.
So just to be clear, we're not in this story?
There's a lot of stories with all of us. Tell one of those.
So this, I do know some voice actors from it though. So this seems to be a continuation of that, and the fact that it is the same characters and the same voice actors from that live action, but it's kind of like a storytelling trope that has been used in multiple movies. It's like this character telling these characters a story from the past and like kind of doing a flashback.
Long before they became legends, Mufasa and the prince who would come to be known as Scar became brothers.
Hello, what's your name?
Mufasa.
I told you to wait for me. We can't just leave him here.
Rules are rules, Tucker. The king will never accept a stray.
I'm not a stray. I'm just lost.
Okay, right off the back. So it seems to be that they are doing exactly what I kind of discussed when we watched the whole Wicked trailer earlier along in these trailer actions, is that they seem to be trying to reframe the story not only of Mufasa, but Scar specifically. Seems to be a growing trope among movie where they have these very iconic villains and very iconic characters and trying to kind of go back and add all this extra context to who they are as characters and almost change your overall perspective of them as villains and kind of try to like reframe them as anti-heroes or at least villains with an actual plausible, almost understandable reason to why they turned to do the things that they did. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but it is something that's continued to happen. They tried it with Angelina Jolie and her turn as, I'm not like Snow White, whatever. One of those villains got a sequel, which was kind of crazy. But like they've tried it, and they seem to be continuing to try it, and it's kind of interesting. But also, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm not sure if I feel like it's necessary, or if some characters are better off just not knowing that stuff and just letting it be and letting your imagination fill in those gaps. It's a very fine line to walk. And I don't think they've really pulled it off very well yet to this point. That was Angela Maleficent. That was it.
We do not associate with outsiders. Taka is the future king. We must protect the bloodline.
But, Dad, I saved his life.
Because if Scar truly saved Mufasa's life and Mufasa hops over him to become the king of his pride, because it's really his pride from the look of this, and for Mufasa to hop over him and then to him to look at Scar and treat Scar the way that he does in The Lion King, makes it look like Mufasa is the real asshole in this whole story, not Scar. And I kind of understand why Scar was on demon time all the time with Mufasa in that movie. Because that's fucked up.
I have a secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother.
Sometimes I get a scent. It's barely a trace on the wind. And it smells like home. And then it's gone.
You and Taka together, that is home. Now both of you go. Find your place in the circle of life.
The circle is broken. There will be one Lion King.
Mufasa, run!
We must fight together. If we fight, we die.
Just to be clear, I never signed up for this.
I'm here to protect you, my brother.
Mufasa! This was a bad idea! We're alive! I did it! I saved us!
You were saying?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It does look interesting. It does look interesting, at least storytelling wise. It, like I said, it is a very interesting aspect and kind of look like way to look at the whole Lion King and Mufasa and like kind of how to retell his story and reframe characters as we know them. It doesn't look like Scar hopped over him, or it doesn't look like Mufasa hopped over Scar in Scar's pride, but it looks like they kind of went out to find their own and Mufasa stepped up to play and became whatever. But still, either way, like it seems like we're gonna learn why Scar was on go all the time, because something happened, and that at least is intriguing enough to almost make me watch this. I never saw the original live action, but if anything, this is far more interesting and more up my alley because it is a more original telling of a story than just remaking it with live action CGI with like big name actors voicing them, which is almost ironic because Lion King was the original film that Disney said was their first original adaptation. No, what was I saying? The fact that this is an original story in the like whole like Lion King lore is almost ironic, because Lion King, when it was first coming out, it was very much publicized and very much touted as Disney's first original story, because up until that point They were fable merchants. Disney was built on retelling fables and stories from the past and cultural impact, and just kind of like re-envisioning it in animated form. And it's ironic because the original Lion King was anything but original. It was a direct ripoff of a little known, little talked about now Japanese animated film called Kimba, the White Lion. Yes, you heard that right. His name was Kimba. And the main character in Lion King, Simba. So for this to actually be original is ironic, because as much as they tried to say Lion King was an original story from Disney, it was not. It was straight up ripped off from a much smaller studio in Japan who felt like they did not have the money or legal resources to fight against Disney. And if you think I'm lying, type it in. Lion King versus Kimba. Straight up stolen movie. Straight up story. Stolen valor at that point. Like, they did not have an original bone in their body. But now they do. This is the first original Lion King movie. But yeah. I don't know. Seems all right. Might be worth a look.